put yourself in the situation. You're Elias Pettersson, franchise center. You're making a decision for your entire prime, your next contract to maximize the value, probably going to be 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
This is where you're setting your roots down. These aren't just the best years of your career. These are the best years of your life in general. To be a star player in the NHL. So this is a really big picture, long-term decision, a commitment of nearly a decade. Kuzmenko's extension has only 1 year of overlap with whatever next contract Pettersson signs.
And that's the thing. We touched on this right before we went to air. If they do have a ton of success together, and say Kuzmenko hits 40 goals next year when he's got all, and this is like the high end happens. Say he gets 40 goals and him and Pettersson are just great at 5-on-5, and Pettersson keeps finding him on the power play. You think the Canucks are going to be able to sign Elias Pettersson at, let's say, $11 million, just to throw a number out there, at $11 million on his next deal? Are they going to have another $9 million laying around to sign Kuzmenko after you potentially bought out OEL, bought out Connor Garland? Like these type of things, like it all, the plan, this is what I think we were struggling with yesterday. And I want to keep calm and do this like in a intellectual way and just talk my way through it calmly. But like, I don't see because like the retool thing to me, like I'm starting to really think that like, if you are retooling, you shouldn't be getting anybody over the age of 24. I know that's not what they said, and that's not what the general manager or the president said. But even with that situation, these type of players just don't seem to add up. And this 2-year deal, like it's great. I think a lot of teams are going to find if Kuzmenko has 2 more years of success from this date forward, has 2 more years of being very successful with the Vancouver Canucks, somebody would like to make a trade for him at the deadline. But do I think it's more than it would have been this year?
No chance.
I don't think so. And people will I've seen this argument out there of like, yeah, but he hasn't proven it at the NHL for long enough. He doesn't have any, Frank was on the show on Monday and he's like, yeah, but he hasn't done it at the NHL level. He hasn't had playoff success in the NHL. Sure, that's all not ideal. You'd like to see a guy who dominates in the playoffs at the NHL level. But I'll tell you what he does have: a cap hit under $1 million. So that you can actually make the trade instead of just being interested in that type of player. He's actually a guy that every team going into the playoffs right now, if they move a little tiny bit of money, not a lot, just a tiny bit of money, make that little space for a guy who's making that much money, under $1 million, anybody could have taken Kuzmenko in a deal. You won't see that in 2 years if you want to start to talk about at the end of this contract, we're not going to be able to sign this huge extension for him. We have to trade him. The value is not going to be the same. It might be a first-round pick.
12-team no trade list as well. So more than a third of the league is out of the equation right there.
Yeah, and I think you might have said this yesterday with how agents are able to manipulate things.
They can. It depends.
It would be interesting, like if Milstein doesn't want his client to go anywhere from Vancouver with a 12-team no trade list, you can make it pretty damn tough.
You can.
What did you say? How many teams have $2 million in cap space? You said 8 or 6 teams. You said
they're 8 right now,
8
according
teams.
to cap friendly.
So if you cut out 12, like